Loktargar friends. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another orc mode workout. Today was a tough workout. Max effort bench day, which is going to be floor press today, and you guys know I'm going with a wider grip on the floor presses. That will eventually carry over to my wider grip bench, which I haven't trained in many years. I've done exclusively closed grip. Now, some people are going to be like, well, are you forgetting about your bench press? No, we did my normal closed grip as an assistance movement today because we made this the max effort. Now, what I will say, these were maxes today. These weren't just training maxes. These were all I could muster. These were all I could muster. And I knew my goal. I wanted to get 305 as my starting floor press as I go back into max effort work to build off of. And I knew when I did the 295 that the 305 was going to be hard. I decided I was going to get it, but I realized the 295 felt fairly heavy. Felt fairly heavy. And yes, guys, I wore a different shirt today. Everyone was like, oh, you always wear black. And the black hides whatever size or whatever, and you can't tell what you really look like or whatever. So there you go, guys. I've got a blue shirt on. You guys will be able to see my back, my traps, my delts, all that. Hell of a lot better. But yeah, the 305 was hard. Look at that. It was grindy. Look at that. Almost would have been red lighted if that was a bench and comp. I mean, it would count, but I mean, it's like almost had some up and down on the right side of the bar. Also, now that you guys see me up moving around and doing all this stuff, I'm sorry, but at this point in the game, you guys have seen my DEXA scans. You guys see what I look like. Any of these ass clowns who come over here who are still calling me fat, you live in some weird ass delusional world. You live in a weird delusional world, my friend, of bodybuilding and all your weird G4P lifestyle and body image disorders. You should probably go get psychiatric help if you honestly think I'm fat. You really should. You need help. You need help, my friend. 185 was easy, so I went ahead and decided from last week to bump up a microplate. Yes, I know I'm still 20 pounds less on my press from what I had hit at my peak last year at a much heavier body weight. And I've stated my goal that if I could just get back to a 2-plate per side press, which is 225 pounds, as I continue to get leaner and lose body weight, I'll be thrilled. Now that was grindy. That was grindy. And I felt like that press, that floor press this morning took a lot out of me. There's my back. Guys can claim I don't have a back all they want. There you go. In a blue shirt where you can see it. No photoshopping because I'm up moving around. 3-dimensional movement. It was grindy. It was tough. So that micro plate almost got me, adding that plate to each side over last week, because today was 207.5 instead of 205. So I've got a ways to go to get back to my 225. But we're going to slowly get there because I'm not going to be bulking again. Just going to keep doing the concurrent training, keep up my orc mode diet, which is, keto-based diet. Keep doing all my daily conditioning and cardio. Keep my energy turnover high and just keep recompositioning, and slowly over time the scale will go down. It'll go down eventually. But I have enough body fat, so I'm probably 16% or so right now. We were 17% on the DEXA scan. I've gained muscle and I feel like I've lost a little bit of fat since the DEXA scan, so I'm probably hovering around 16%. Still fatter than I need to be, but at least we're in the healthy athletic range at that point, right? We're in the healthy athletic range. But ideally, I do need to go a bit under that, and that's fine. We're going to slowly get there. Pull-ups were tough today. I mean, I felt like I was grinding a little bit on that max effort stuff, and I still got the numbers. They count, but they were tough. But yeah, I missed that third rep on the pull-up today. And what is that, 70 pounds of plates? Me weighing about 215. So what is that? I can't even do the math in my head. 285, double, and I couldn't get my chin over the bar on the third one. So we're not going to count that third rep. We're going to count that as reaching failure because I couldn't get to the end. That'll also have people say silly stuff like, does that mean that that's the hardest part of the lift is the top? No, not really. If that was the case, then you wouldn't see all these guys skipping the bottom. Like with any other lift, you're fatigued as you go through a rep. Just because that's where you're missing a rep doesn't mean that's the hardest part. So people would say that the bench press lockout is the hardest part if that was the case when they stop 2/3 of the way up. No, it's not the hardest part. You're just fatigued. You've run out of steam. So I went ahead and did some closed grip pause work as a back off, 275 for a 3x3, because we hit those 3 heavy lifts today. And again, we want to keep training the motor pattern with a moderately heavy bench. Even though I did floor press as a max effort today, we don't want to skip the primary exercises. So what did we do yesterday? We did a box squat for the max effort, and then we did 3x3 on the regular back squat. So it's the same idea here, right? If we're going to do our non-standard lift or our non-primary exercise as a max effort lift, we still need to do some heavy work with the primary exercise, right? That's what you want to do. You don't want to lose the motor pattern. We could just come in and do more volume with the other stuff, which is what we're going to do with these smaller movements coming up. I'm going to do some behind the head standing tricep extensions just to finish at the end, which I used to joke and call them tricepticons. You guys remember when I used to do those with a full plate per side? I used to do them with a full plate per side on camera, but I was also a stronger presser back then. That was way back in the day. Maybe I'll work some of them back in depending on how they feel on my shoulders and everything else. But I think we did sets of 13 today, 3x13 on these kettlebells. I really need to get at some heavier kettlebells now. I feel like for conditioning, for my laterals, everything else, what I have isn't working. And yes, that's a 25, by the way. So I need to go ahead and get some heavier ones. But again, this is one of my smaller movements. Again, we need delts, we need triceps, we need biceps. And we need to work them in a way that aren't getting hit with our big exercises. Otherwise, we would just do more big exercises. But keeping in mind, I'm probably at my recovery limits. That's the other reason we're doing some of this. I mean, hypothetically, we could do some other big movements to do these things, but we also have to stay within maximum recoverable volume. I have a fair amount of training volume every week now. I do a lot of conditioning work. I'm not in a caloric surplus, so it does get hard to handle all of it. So these smaller movements help bridge the gap a little bit, but what is it that I'm trying to point out with these? People are like, why are you doing those? I thought you weren't big on small movements. I'm not big on small movements. But I've already done a bunch of heavy shit first. I did 4 compound exercises first, 3 of them with limit sets. Right? We pretty much hit a max on 2 of them, and then we hit a 3-rep max and reached failure on another one, and then we did back off triples with a 4th exercise. Right? If you're not doing stuff like that, you have no business bothering with these small movements. You're wasting your time. They contribute very, very little. They really do. They're after your big work is done to address your weak points. And it doesn't mean necessarily aesthetic weak points. It can be your performance weak points. In this case, I need more delt. I need more trap. And this is working rear delts and side delts. Right? I need the extra stability for all my pressing. In addition to looking more orky, but there's even benefits to this from a stability perspective as far as having a stable shoulder joint so that we can get stronger on various pressing with less risk of shoulder injury. All right? And we need to think in those terms. In addition to the fact of what am I doing? It's a standing version. It's a version that works my core. It's like this tricep exercise, it's standing. We try to do as many exercises as we can standing. Right? Sometimes you need to be laying down. There are certain exercises that require you to lay down, the bench press, the floor press, stuff like that. But everything needs to be a core exercise. Everything needs to be standing. If you can make it that way. Again, if we're going to train for athleticism, and this is an athletic form of training, right? Especially when we start doing conditioning, we start adding cardio, all this other stuff. This is, again, an athlete style of training. Most concurrent systems like this are. And that's the point. We're trying to improve athleticism. We're addressing all these different elements. We're addressing maximum strength. We're generating speed strength, explosiveness. There is some strength stamina with the smaller movements. We have general physical preparedness, which addresses that to a large extent also. Then I have list cardio. Right? All of that's in there. All that's in there. And looking at diet in terms of recomposition, looking at the way that I'm eating in a way that is about maximizing body composition. So that's the point of all of this. This is how we become more athletic. All right. If you older guys, you want to be more athletic in your 30s and 40s, well, you need to start thinking about this stuff. Spend less time goofing off with machines and silly shit. And really be looking at this from an athletic perspective. And yeah, those will lift my triceps up. And we'll go ahead and see that max floor press one more time to finish the video up. You guys can see me struggling with it. And yeah, And I knew it was going to be heavy. Like I said before, I did it, but I got myself in the zone. And I'm glad I got it. Part of me was like, if it was going to be easy, I was going to go up. I was going to hit a true max on this no matter what today. If this had been easy, I would have gone 315. But we'll work towards a 315 floor press. So I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.